Oh boy, do I have a story for you. Actually, it's kind of a big one that's kind of been going on since 2014.
So this story has to do with a goal that we've been working on probably for the past 5 years. But before we tell you the story, there's some history you have to understand first.
Back in 2011, we bought our first house in St. John's, Newfoundland.
We bought a 1987 side split, was basically in its original form. It had never been updated before. I grew up watching shows like Bob Vila's Home Again and This Old House, Trading Spaces.
I did not.
You did not. My dad has a background in doing woodworking projects, renovation projects. He was the general contractor for every house that they ever built. Two of my uncles are into fine woodworking and finished carpentry. So I'm kind of like genetically predisposed to being around.
This girl, when she was a kid, apparently, it'd be like Friday night on the weekend, her sister would be gone out like partying. And
I'd watch Trading Spaces and I'd have my...
And you've had your grid paper, you'd be drawing your little houses.
Needless to say, when we bought our first house, I wanted to like completely gut it. Meanwhile, Mr. here had zero interest.
I didn't have any experience in home renovation.
So since we didn't have the funds to hire out trades, we started to take on these renovation projects ourselves.
Yeah, like we could barely afford cost of materials, but to pay someone to do something with those cost of materials, no, definitely not. So we'll do it all ourselves. When we started, I didn't know anything. I might have cut a piece of drywall with a circular saw. As soon as the blade hit the drywall, it was like, just covered in white dust. We've come a long way, bottom line.
We started to get the hang of things with advice from my dad, my uncles, and the internet. Q 2012 enters the blog.
So we started our blog and basically used that as a log of all of our renovations.
B-log.
What does the B stand for? Blog. We documented everything on the blog.
I had no idea how to write. It was awful, but I learned how to write by writing the blog.
Well, you still can't spell. But so that was like our first foray into internet content. That was before Instagram, before anything really.
It took us from 2011 to 2016 to fully renovate our house before we moved away for Vancouver.
We literally finished the renovation like a week before we left.
But before we get into that, there's a couple more details that we need to talk about before we can get to Vancouver era and what we're actually talking about in today's video. We're gonna rewind 2014. Chris and I, on a whim, decided to enter ourselves into a DIY contest.
This was a online contest. It was called Creating with the Stars. In a nutshell, how it worked is you had to submit a project to qualify as a contestant. We submitted our sample project literally like minutes before the deadline closed. We were lucky enough to be selected as one of the 12 contestants. Bottom line is there were 4 categories. Every round they chose a theme. We had a few days to complete the project. There would be an anonymous vote on what viewers liked the best, and then the winners, they would advance to the next round and they would just basically whittle everyone down through the 4 rounds. And spoiler alert, we won the contest.
Shortly after we won this DIY contest, our blog started slowly growing. We got an email from a production company in Toronto who wanted to meet with us to talk about a home renovation TV show starring us.
The Becki and Chris show.
What, like what?
Mind you, this was before YouTube.
We weren't making videos for ourselves at this point.
No, so we went to Toronto.
Took the meeting, signed the contract.
And just waited for the show to happen. Spoiler alert.
It didn't.
It never happened.
We never heard from anybody.
Yes.
They were like, who are these idiots? With our home renovation cluing up and our 1 year living in Vancouver rapidly approaching, we started thinking about what our next big project was gonna be when we moved back to Newfoundland in 2017.
Right. The plan was to go to Vancouver for my work for 1 year and then come back when my placement there was done.
So we decided cabin project was what it was gonna be. We'd been talking about a cabin project for years.
We're gonna keep our renovated house, we're gonna move back into that, and then do a cabin project.
It's 2015. With this cabin project, we kind of start looking for land and we just started filming everything.
This is flat enough you could land the helicopter like pretty much anywhere around here.
We wanted to be in the middle of nowhere.
In the woods, secluded.
The way that you can do that is you can buy Crown land.
In Canada.
Yeah, so Crown land is basically land owned by the government.
Canadian government.
There's lots of it, but if you find a spot that you want, you can apply to buy it. But then they've got to go through a whole checklist of like 12 different departments to make sure there's no issues. So the odds are stacked against you. But what I figured was, if I just go around and scour every road on this island and then submit a ton of applications, one's got to be approved. So we did that. Basically spent my Christmas vacation camped out at the Crown Lands office.
$1,356 later, pretty sure everybody in the Crown Lands office hates me because I actually set the record with the most number of applications for an individual that's not a company. It's going to take up to a year to see if any of them get approved, but we'll check back in then, and fingers crossed.
They hated me there. They hated me. They did more work in that one day than they did the entire year.
We spent a lot of time scouring all of these ponds and these land areas just outside of St. John's. In the winter, it was a slog.
A spy. Outhouse. How lucky, because I really got to use the bathroom.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, no toilet paper.
There's a lot of legwork, but we figured, you know what, we'll put those applications in, we'll set them, we'll forget about them, we'll go to Vancouver for that year.
We'll wait.
And then when we come home,
We'll have a piece of land, hopefully.
hopefully have a piece of land to build on.
Now it's 2016. We're living in Vancouver for Chris's last final year of training for work. He was doing a 1-year fellowship in interventional radiology.
Or you left all your clients behind.
We had no home project, so the blog kind of got left behind.
We both just collectively decided, why don't you work on a personal project? And you're like, well, I always wanted to make travel videos.
And so that's what we did for 6 years.
We're still doing it.
We were making these travel videos for our brand new YouTube channel, but this idea of a home renovation show was still in our heads. We really wanted to make the show work, but there was one problem.
While we do put a lot on the internet, anything that got filmed with me around could theoretically end up on a show. As a physician, well, I didn't want that liability. And two, we didn't really want to have no control over how the video looked, or even how it was shot, how it was lit, things like that. All that creative control will be gone. We pride ourselves in a certain aesthetic on our YouTube videos, and we were kind of developing that through Vancouver.
We had this vision of what we wanted that didn't really fit that classic HGTV renovation show format.
They have a formula they know is popular with their viewers, so they all stick to pretty much the same script, more or less.
It's like couple buys a house, they start renovating, they go over budget, they don't realize how much work is involved. There's a fight between the two partners or some kind of disagreement.
Because dude wants a man cave and she wants like
granite countertops.
Right. Allegedly, some of these conflicts are manufactured. No, we just didn't want to do that.
We wanted to show the realities of what it actually takes to do-it-yourself renovation, what they don't show you on TV. But we also wanted to have this like cinematic, filmic feel to the series, and we also wanted to include a bunch of kind of funny blooper moments.
Stupid stuff.
Dumb stuff. The stuff that they put like a tiny clip at the end of the credits in the TV shows, like
Right.
we wanted to fill our episodes with that type of stuff.
You used to watch a lot of Brian Baumler, and at the end they would put these bloopers where they would say like hilarious stuff.
And I was like, I want a full show
Or
of
a
this.
snippet of something hilarious. You know there was more said.
They have 30 minutes to tell the story in the same formula that every single show follows. So we kind of had a vision of what we were looking for. We weren't really sure where it was gonna go. It's 2017, we're in Vancouver, and Chris lost his job.
Lost the job I had lined up back in our home province of Newfoundland.
Link up here for that full story.
Yeah.
And we started to sink into this realization that we're not going back to Newfoundland. Our dream of building this cabin in Newfoundland kind of went out the window.
We moved down to Buffalo. We're like, well, we'll just buy a house and that'll be potentially
That's the
content.
show.
Except when we went to apply for a mortgage, Canadian credit doesn't mean anything in the US. So they're like, sorry, we can't give you a loan.
So we kind of scrambled, started looking for apartments, landed on one. It's 2017, we're living in Buffalo. We're waiting, we're documenting, we're practicing making videos. Over time, we eventually established enough credit to get approved for a mortgage. So we started looking for houses and we filmed everything, not in a great way. So we actually got really stoked on doing this series ourselves and building something unique from the ground up that didn't really exist on Netflix or on HGTV. As our channel kind of grew, it actually made more sense for us to do this on our channel ourselves in the style that you guys are familiar with.
That's kind of a gradual mindset change from 2014 all the way till now, essentially.
Yeah, 2022.
Yeah, just as many people are watching YouTube as traditional cable. We can do everything the way we want to do it and just self-publish. That's what we're gonna do.
After we released our first travel series, Cold Island, and the response from you guys was overwhelmingly positive and just really encouraging, we just thought that the Home Reno series on this channel just was a fantastic fit. Producing and filming a Home Reno series, just the two of us, whilst renovating and filming, it became very overwhelming and difficult.
And doing it on nights and weekends.
Yeah, it was a challenge.
Yeah.
We ended up figuring out a little bit of a formula that worked for us.
There's always gonna be logistical nightmares. We can manage these ones because we've been managing these for years now, doing our YouTube videos the same way since what, 2016?
After all this time, we've been basically filming this series since 2014, but kind of 2017, but really 2019. Here's a little sneak peek of the first part of our Home Reno series.
There should be 2 of these. There's only 1. All right, back to the hardware store. I'm wearing these pajamas, by the way. I'm not gonna change.
I always shit on people for going to the store in pajamas. I was like, have some self-respect. Here I am. This is what life's come to, Becki.
Oh God! That was so bad.
I slipped on a rafter and I put my foot into the ceiling.
Oh, what the f?
No!
Do this for like 10 days straight.
Say cheese for the camera, meanwhile you're like everything.
So the plan from here on out is to release one episode every week, every Sunday at 10 a.m. on this channel. We're gonna do it in chunks. So the first sort of drop will be 4 episodes, and then we'll renovate some more rooms, and then it'll be another 3 or 4 episodes.
We're kind of breaking it up this way to make it a little bit more manageable.
We've got a lot of projects. We want to be able to deliver some of these, give you some of that content. We'll go on another helicopter trip, deliver some more of that content, make some more vlogs here and there, kind of fill in the gaps. So it's only gonna be 3 or 4 episodes first, but there's gonna be a lot of extra stuff, behind the scenes stuff that we wouldn't be able to deliver if it was a TV show on a network.
Also, we're gonna be doing a special edition of our podcast Tuxedo Time, after show edition, where we basically break down each episode and answer your questions. So if you're watching the series, ask us questions in the comment section and we'll probably answer them on the podcast.
Yeah, and I like that because we can be more interactive with the audience,
Yeah.
which you wouldn't really be able to do with a TV show. There's sort of a one-way flow of information.
All about community. We want to like chat with you guys through it. First episode, March 27th, 10 a.m. Eastern on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you on the next one.
We're excited is for you guys to watch it.
Can't wait. I'm so excited.
Every day when Becki's like writing something, I hear her in her office. Siri, spell serendipity. S-E-R.
She's so slow, and I'm like, hurry the fuck up.
Imagine if I yawned every time like that.
You kind of do yawn every time like that.
Okay, maybe I do.
Every single time.
We call it the uncommon common law because we were uncommon, but we were common law.
Worst name ever. We later changed it to Becki and Chris.
A little bit more apt.
Yeah.